Welcome, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the announcement of the Fighters Only World Mixed Martial Arts Awards nominees. I'm Dave Farah.
And I'm Ariane Celeste, coming to you from Las Vegas.
The World MMA Awards were created in 2008 to recognize and celebrate the achievements of the people involved in making MMA so great. The nominees list has officially been created by the fans, and now you have a voice and you can vote for your favorite fighters, ring girls, and brands that have been integral in making 2009 such a great year in the sport of mixed martial arts.
That's right, Dave. 2009 was an amazing year with unbelievable fights, KOs, and submissions. You can cast your ballot in 18 different categories. On December 30th, the winners will be announced live at the Joint at the Hard Rock Hotel Casino, Las Vegas. If you want to be there with all the MMA notables, a limited number of seats are available on Ticketmaster.com.
Let's get on to the nominations. First up is Best MMA Journalist. MMA has enjoyed an unprecedented amount of media coverage in the past 12 months, and whether it's the exclusive interviews, the technical coverage, or anything else that keeps you watching, reading, and listening, you can vote for your favorite MMA journalist.
All the nominees are listed in alphabetical order. Best MMA Journalist is a new category for 2009. And the nominees are Gareth A. Davies, Joe Ferraro, Kevin Iole, Dave Meltzer, and John Morgan.
MMA is everywhere that you look nowadays, but when you want your fix of news, interviews, and features, where do you get it from? Now you have a chance to vote for Best MMA Coverage, the websites, TV shows, magazines, and newspapers that give you the best insight into MMA.
Last year, the award went to MMA Junkie. This year's nominees are Inside MMA, MMA Connected, MMA Junkie, MMA Weekly, and Sherdog.
There are few pieces of equipment in MMA more important than a good pair of gloves. A good glove needs to allow the user the freedom to grapple, strike, and be durable too.
For the best MMA glove manufacturer, the nominees are Everlast MMA, Fairtex, Hayabusa, Triumph United, and UFC.
Regardless of whether you look for aesthetically pleasing designs or just want something functional, a good pair of MMA shorts should be tough enough to sustain the wear and tear of the world's toughest sport.
The nominees for Best Shorts Manufacturer are ADX, Hayabusa, Sprawl, Tap Out, and Warrior.
MMA has become more than a sport. It's a lifestyle. And nowhere is it more apparent than in the MMA clothing market. From quality to originality, design to value, voice your opinion on the best clothing manufacturer. Last
year's winner was Tap Out in this category. Our nominees this year are Affliction, One More Round, Silver Star, Tap Out, and Toe to Toe.
There's no doubt that the MMA industry has become huge. From the promotions, clothing companies, and equipment manufacturers, these companies represent the best MMA brand.
This was one of 2 awards that UFC won last year. This year's nominees are Bad Boy, Hayabusa, Silver Star, Tap Out, and UFC.
While MMA isn't a team sport, a good team and gym will challenge, support, and develop fighters, helping them reach their full potential.
Our nominees for Gym of the Year are ATT, Black House MMA, Extreme Couture, Greg Jackson Submission Fighting, and Wolf Slayer.
Now for one of my favorite categories, and apparently yours too. This was the most voted on category last year, Ring Girl of the Year. It was won by none other than Ariane Celeste. And the nominees are for Ring Girl of the Year, Ariane Celeste, Edith LaBelle, Holly Madison, Logan Stanton, and Natasha Wicks. Behind every fighter, there's an individual whose job it is to make sure that when the opening bell rings for that first round, the fighter is very well prepared and ready to win the fight.
This year, the Fighters Only World Mixed Martial Arts Awards created the category of Coach of the Year.
And the nominees are Mark Delagrati, Greg Jackson, Ricardo Laborio, Greg Nelson, and Sean Tompkins. There was a time when women's mixed martial arts was a niche, but those days are clearly over. Women's MMA is more accessible than ever, and you can vote for your favorite female fighter of the year at worldmmaawards.com.
This year's nominees are Gina Carano, Megumi Fuji, Sarah Kaufman, Christine Cyborg Santos, and Rosie Sexton.
There is a ton of talent and great athletes in the sport of mixed martial arts nowadays, so you have to do something special to break through. And this particular category recognizes the individuals that have done exactly that. This is the Breakthrough Fighter of the Year.
The nominees for Breakthrough Fighter of the Year are Shane Carwin, Dan Hardy, John Jones, Brock Lesnar, and Cain Velasquez.
With the growing success of European talent across the world, it's only fitting to allow fans to vote for their favorite European Fighter of the Year.
Last year's European Fighter of the Year was Mike Bisping. This year, the nominees are Mike Bisping, Fedor Emelianenko, Terry Edom, Dan Hardy, and Gegard Moussaoui.
The next award is for the industry professional who has worked within MMA to build the sport.
The leading man of the year goes to a figure who has had the largest positive impact on the sport in 2009, who is not a fighter themselves. The nominees are Scott Coker, Lorenzo Fertitta, Charles Mask Lewis, Joe Silva, and Dana White.
The next award is for the promotion that has delivered throughout the year, not only in well-matched fights, but also in quality production value and programming.
Which promotion has consistently delivered for you over the year? Vote for the nominees at worldmmaawards.com. The nominees are Bellator, Dream, Strikeforce, UFC, and WEC.
Submissions will always be potent weapons for any fighters, and when employed well, they can end a fight just as decisively as a well-timed strike.
Chokes, arm bars, leg locks, all of these variations and more have entertained fans over the years. Your nominees for submission of 2009 are Penn vs. Florian in UFC 101, Edom vs. Buchholz in UFC 99, Hazelette vs. McRory in UFC 91, Imada vs. Masvidal in Bellator 5, and Maya vs. Sonnen in UFC 95.
Everyone loves a highlight reel knockout, and that's exactly what this next category is all about, celebrating some of the guys that were able to land that big punch, knee, or kick.
Vote for your favorite knockout of the year. The nominees are Evans vs. Liddell in UFC 88, Henderson vs. Bisping in UFC 100, Machida vs. Evans in UFC 98, Marquardt vs. Maya in UFC 102, and Silva vs. Griffin in UFC 101.
MMA has been built on the performance of two fighters locked in combat, both determined to emerge the victor.
We've enjoyed such a legacy of the great fights over the years, and the past 12 months is no exception. For the Fight of the Year, the nominees are Brown vs. Faber in WEC 41, Guida vs. Sanchez in the Tough 9 finale, Franklin vs. Silva in UFC 99, Lesnar vs. Mir in UFC 100, and Nogueira vs. Couture in UFC 102.
There's one category that's not voted on by the fans, but a panel of fighters-only experts. This prestigious award is Outstanding Contribution to MMA, recognizing an individual's contribution to developing the sport of mixed martial arts. Last year, the award went to Big John McCarthy. Tune in on December 30th to find out who will receive Outstanding Contribution to MMA this year. And for the big one, everyone knows that mixed martial arts is a truly individual sport, and this next award is for the fighter that has exuded the never say die spirit.
The Fighter of the Year award is not necessarily for the fighter who went undefeated throughout the year, but the fighter who has put it all on the line in every outing. The nominees for Fighter of the Year are Mike Thomas Brown, Brock Lesnar, Lyoto Machida, George St. Pierre, and Anderson Silva.
And that's our nominations for the 2009 Fighters Only World Mixed Martial Arts Awards.
Voting is officially open at worldmmaawards.com. Be sure to cast your vote and tune in around the world on December 30th to see who wins.
In the US and Canada, you can watch on the Versus Network in early 2010. You can watch live on Versus.com on the night of the 30th. And if you're anywhere else in the world, make sure to check your local listings so you don't miss the 2009 Fighters Only World Mixed Martial Arts Awards. Let the voting begin.